Good afternoon all. The topic of today's presentation is Rhizoctonia bereticola, the causal agent of dry rooter disease in chickpea. Before getting into the topic, we will see about the plant fungal pathogens and the plants. Plant fungal pathogens cause diseases in most of the crop plants. Such infection reduces the yield. In today's topic, we are going to focus on Rhizoctonia bereticola, the fungus, and the chickpea, the host plant. Rhizoctonia bereticola causes dry rooter disease in chickpea. The host plant of this fungus is chickpea, and the most susceptible plant stage is post-flowering stage. The symptoms of this disease are drooping and chlorosis of petioles and leaflets, and the affected plants will have straw-colored leaves on the stems. The tap roots of the affected plants will turn into black with signs of rotting and is devoid of most of the lateral and finer roots. The dead roots are quite brittle and they show shredding of the bark. Most importantly, the affected roots will have a dark minute microsporotia in the pith region. Rhizoctonia and its features. Rhizoctonia produces hyphae and microsporotia. Generally, the hyphae are septate. Constriction and the cross wall can be seen at the branching point of the hyphae, and it is necrotrophic in nature, and it is saprophyte, which means it can stay in the plant debris during the off seasons. The host range of this fungus is white, and it is multinuclear in nature. Dry rooter disease exhibit unique symptoms in chickpea. Chickpea is susceptible to many root fungal pathogens such as Arboreticola, Fusarium axisporum, and Sclerotium rollesii. Generally, there is a confusion in case of the disease symptom appearance between dry rooter disease and then Fusarium wilt disease. The Fusarium wilt disease is caused by the Fusarium axisporum. The symptoms of both diseases are believed to appear similar. However, there is a clear distinction when we consider the age of the plant and then the parts of the chickpea plant. The next slide will explain the distinction between these two coexisting disease in chickpea. The right side, if you see, it is showing it's showing two plants. The left side is the plants affected by the Fusarium wilt. The right side is showing the plants affected by the dry root rot. The Fusarium wilt affected plants are having intact root. In contrast, the dry root rot affected plants are having a brittle root with no lateral roots. In this table, so I'm going to explain you the distinct symptom appearance between dry root rot and then Fusarium wilt. The dry root rot disease is generally not seen during the seedling stage. In contrast, the young seedlings infected with the Fusarium axisporum are killed within 3 weeks of the sowing. The second, the dry root rot disease symptoms appear most predominantly at flowering to pod forming stage. The affected plants have straw-colored stem and sometimes brown. But in case of Fusarium wilt, the affected plants will show typical wilting and the stem retain the green color. In case of root, the microsporotia can be seen underneath the bark, and the affected roots can be easily uprooted in case of dry root rot. In contrast, the Fusarium wilt affected plants have any microsporotia, and it will have brown to dark discoloration in the xylem vessels when we see it in the split open stem. Rhizoctonia bereticola taxonomy and nomenclature. At the beginning of disease identification, the fungal pathologist gave many different names to the disease based on its morphology difference and the microsporotia formation. But the name given by the Dub Butler in the year of 1925 is retained as the name of the causative agent in chickpea, dry root rot. In chickpea, the Rhizoctonia bradicola is always present in the anomorph form. Hence, it is followed as Rhizoctonia bradicola in the literature. Rhizoctonia bradicola is an anamorphic fungus. Generally, the fungi which comes under Deuteromycetes phylum are classified based on the two morphs. One is teleomorph, another one is anamorph. The teleomorph, they reproduce through producing sexual spores, whereas the anamorph fungi, they reproduce by means of asexual spores. Rhizoctonia bradicola does not produce any spore, and it is always present in the vegetative stage in the form of hyphae and microsclerotia. Rhizoctonia bradicola and its life cycle. The life cycle of this fungus starts with the saprophytic phase and ends with parasitic phase. In the saprophytic phase, the fungus, the primary inoculum remains in the soil and the plant debris as hyphae and microsclerotia. Then when it finds its host plant, it germinates by secreting the germinates, along with it secretes the macerating enzymes which helps its establishment of infection. Once it's started the infection, it penetrates the plant inter and intracellularly, and when it enters the parasitic phase, it shows the symptoms of typical dry root rot. This disease cycle is completely affected by the environment and the host plant. Rhizoctonia bradicola and its genetic variation. The genetic variation is usually brought during the reproduction. In case of this fungus, it is brought by three ways. One is mutation, another one is hyphal fusion, another one is mitotic recombination. In this fungus, the predominant way of getting the genetic variation is hyphal fusion. It is otherwise called as hyphal anastomosis. In this hyphal fusion, there are 4 types of reactions. Here, the exchange of nucleus are seen between 2 different Rhizoctonia bradicola. The reaction type 0 shows no compatibility between 2 different isolates, and the reaction 3 indicates a complete compatibility between 2 bradicola isolates, or bradicola and edaphic factors. The sandy soil supports the DRR occurrence and its severity, whereas the clay soil supports less disease incidence. The propagules in the form of hyphae and microsclerotia are negatively correlated with high soil moisture, and it is positively with less soil moisture content. The propagules cannot survive for a longer period under anaerobic conditions. And its distribution in soil. The distribution of sclerotia is higher at 0 to 5 centimeter than the deeper depths. The population of sclerotia in the is higher at the end of the post-rainy season compared with the population at the sowing time. The higher counts of sclerotia are recorded in the intercropping systems of sorghum and coffee in legumes. There is a positive correlation seen between the pathogenic isolates and its sclerotial production in the form of the size of sclerotia and the number of sclerotia. And it is shown that the isolates with a bigger microsclerotia size are more virulent in nature than the smaller microsclerotia size isolates. Rhizoctonia bradicola and its association with soil microbiome. Chickpea field soil has many root-causing microbial pathogens. When the R. bradicola is co-inoculated with the Fusarium oxysporum, the DRI incidence was higher in chickpea as compared to the individual inoculation. This higher incidence is attributed to the additive effect of both the pathogens. The wilt-resistant genotypes have been found susceptible to dry root at higher temperature in chickpea. The take-home message from this presentation is that R. petricola causes dry root or disease in chickpea, and it is a necrotrophic fungus. Soil moisture stress influences its population and infection capacity positively. It dominates its associated microbiome during the infection. The research avenues in this area. So far, there is no standard classification of isolates at both morphology and molecular level. Also, the infection pattern in chickpea is not clear so far, and no information on its effectors during the infection establishment is available. Also, the role of soil moisture in disease severity is also unknown. Literature and resources used to make this presentation. Thank you.